So I hope you enjoyed your stay in Luxembourg for the one who just arrived in Luxembourg yesterday. And as you can guess, the weather is fantastic, and I'm sorry that you are in the room for the next hours. The second thing is, I just have to speak after your lunch. Usually it's not the most exciting moment for most of you, so I will try not to disturb your digestion. Next week I will deliver my speech to what we call the State of the Union, Digitalisation in Luxembourg. It's an annual speech, it's a rendezvous also with the deputies, with the members of parliament, but also with the economy and also with the country, where I go through the most important elements of the government's work, especially because I have elections next year. And as you heard, I'm in charge of my job now in job for the last 9 years. So it's a mandate of 5 years, and so there will be elections next year. So this will be an opportunity not to look back what I did, because I don't like to do that, but also to say what is important also for the future, how to get ready for the next steps. Because we live in a period where I have to tell you that uncertainty is a key word, which is not good. It's not good. People are scared, and people especially have a lot of questions where we don't have all the answers. Usually people ask, but we voted for you to give me an answer. And it's difficult for the moment. And we live also, and I don't want to be quoted outside, but we live in polycrisis since a long time. When I started being Prime Minister, we had the crisis of the Greek deficit. Everybody forgot that, but we had to rescue the euro. That was an important topic in Europe. Then we had the situation with migrants who died also in the sea, where it was important to find solidarity and mechanism also in Europe. Then we had the Brexit. A lot of people forgot, but that's also a crisis that we had. Then I could continue with what the energy crisis provoked by the Ukraine war that we all know is also on our ground. So we have a lot of crises where people are, for the moment, very scared. And I forgot a big one, the COVID. And so, and I'm touch wood, but for the moment it looks good, but we never know with the COVID, they are always full of surprise. But so you see, we had a lot of crises the last years. And so we have challenges that exist, and challenges in fact that are also interconnected and so difficult to manage also as a society. We have and we have to be very aware also about narratives for the moment. When I told you about, for example, the energy crisis, Russian will explain you that the crisis is done because we had sanctions. But without the war, there wouldn't be sanctions. So we should not try through narratives to make people believe that changing history. And when I speak about that, I don't need to speak to you also about fake news and the influence also that you can have through media and through social media, especially also on behavior of people. And this is something which for elections is very important. So we need more than anything for the moment are solutions. And we have so many solutions to so many problems. And one thing is, and I don't want to be misunderstood, these solutions can not only be based on technology, even if technology will be very important and be part of it. This year, the Luxembourg Blockchain Lab has been successful at getting the necessary funding to work also in applied research together with traditional banks and also with international and interested companies. We supported Infrachain in getting together Luxembourg's blockchain All-Star Alliance, and it's happened. And I really think that this was a big achievement. Infrachain, on the other hand, has completed another year also of successfully connecting the blockchain community. And the initiative has successfully received numerous fundings from the EU. And you don't get fundings if you don't have good projects. And this was also because of the Infrachain's reputation on one hand, and also of a reliable cross-European blockchain community, which is also very important on the other hand. And also first and foremost also OASIS, they continued to work on the token and Absolux projects also, which is very important for all of us. And the Blockchain 2030 study executed by Infrachain has helped us get a complete picture of current attitudes on one hand in the blockchain community, but also, by the way, the team at Infrachain has grown also to 4 employees, so it's also getting bigger. So the agenda is filled with work on Web 3.0 and blockchain technologies linked to data privacy, data security, high performance computing, and of course new business models and also new models of ownership. I almost forgot Infrachain completed another milestone this year, which is not the least of things. It celebrated its 5th anniversary. I remember when we created all together this. Those 2 developments, in addition to our growing academic activity, for example, at LIST and also at the SNT, make me confident in saying that my country masters blockchain. And this is an integral part to our overall goal as a technology-enabled nation. As I try to explain for some of you who are not from Luxembourg, we are enablers at state. We are not complicators. Even if very often you see us as complicators, we are there to enable. Globally, blockchain technology has not at all been put on hold. And more than that, traditional financial services also and traditional industries are more and more working on concrete projects also where they integrate it in their operations. And it has increasingly becoming the digital infrastructure it has been presented. This is also the case of our administrative digital infrastructure. Our participation in the European EPSI network is active, and also the Ministry of Digitalisation is progressing on its efforts to integrate blockchain in different aspects of interactions between the citizens and the government. When we started Infrachain's public-private adventure in 5 years ago, so in 2017, blockchain was something very complicated. So nobody accepted cryptocurrencies. Nobody was speaking about blockchain. I usually take always the example of my mom. She's still not very aware, but at that moment now she said, "Oh yes, blockchain and crypto." She starts to begin, but so we have to know that there is a big gap also between the generations. Sorry to say that, but this is something also which is important to say. But we saw the opportunities, and this is something which is in this country in our DNA, always to see what is compliant and also what is an opportunity for us. As you can guess, at the beginning it was not easy because pressure was very, very high. But we saw that something big would happen in that topic too. And it's still about cryptocurrencies when I speak about blockchain, but also about decentralized governance, and maybe a bit less about hype, but just maybe for some. It is, in fact, developing into the foundation of tomorrow's internet. And this year, another potential part of tomorrow's internet makes its appearance here at the Infrachain Summit, the much talked about metaverse. And I'm curious to hear what your impressions are, but the fact is that Luxembourg in 22 is a place where ways of interacting through new mixed reality tools has become a reality. With infinite reality, for example, who have been on stage this morning. My government goal is to make out of Luxembourg the digital frontrunner. It is already. I heard, and I am very sensitive on that there are things who can be better in Luxembourg. And I also propose to my services to have an appointment in the next weeks with one or the others to see where, because I know that we are always competitive. When we speak about the digital market in Europe, we always speak global, but we all act local, because we know that we are competitors. So it's we should not say, oh, Europe is, because we are squeezed between the States and Asia. It's a fact in a lot of digital issues. And when we speak about a common European market, we all say, yeah, we have to do it. But as soon as it touches a bit in national topics, we get very critical because we think it's national sovereignty and etc. and etc. So it's difficult to have it as a market, and it's easier in the States. If someone decides it's the President Act, it's done. In other big countries, even if someone's decided also, there is no parliament to ask. So it's for me, this Infrachain Summit is important, and in this productive blockchain week, I'm open to suggestions. The country's secret here was always being proud about what we do, but being more proud to be ready to do the next things. We cannot rely just on what we did and about our history. That's in the books. What we want to be, it's when we see today that the space mining, let's start just with LCS for the one who just arrived at Luxembourg. Luxembourg on the map, it's not very easy to find, I agree. Usually it's just the L, sometimes LUX, and if you have to find some maps where you will find Grand Duché de Luxembourg, which is our official name. I agree, it's not the shortest one. So it's difficult to put all these letters in on the map. But if you would see the space, how big ASEAS is. And this was a story when in the late 70s, 80s, Prime Minister Pierre Werner thought this is a huge opportunity for this country. And if I look back, for example, now there are big discussions with MCs, TF1 is going to buy, not going to buy. But the birth of this media is RTL. And the L is not for Lebanon or Liechtenstein, it's for Luxembourg. So you see, we were always, because we knew that with frequencies we would have an opportunity to make the big thing of tomorrow too. And so RTL is one of the biggest media group in Europe today. ASEAS is one of the biggest leader in satellites worldwide. And when I see finance, when I see services, when I see funds, for example, green bonds, or the sukuk, all these products that we were able to put on the market. What is important for me, it's that everything is clear, that there are rules. I don't want to be the Prime Minister where you can do things in this country which are not allowed in other countries. But there is a difference between not allowed and forbidden. I was a lawyer. So if it's forbidden to do things in other countries, I won't be the one who will say, you are allowed to do this here. We have level playing field and we have rules. It's important to keep that. But it's not because some countries don't want to do things, to create things, to try to be more productive, more creative, that the others has to stay behind. When we started with the space mining, people said, no, you shouldn't do because you are too small to take that topic. No. Maybe afterwards we provoke international regulations which will be needed. But then it's okay. But don't be afraid about the future. Don't be afraid about going next steps. Don't be afraid of doing things which are maybe new, maybe risky. Some people would say no risk, no fun. But as a Prime Minister, I can tell you, sometimes I prefer less fun and more safe. But just being able to do things together where we will be proud that we took the decision at one moment. Not against the others, but for also a global community where if we would just rethink about all the barriers we had and other countries had, we wouldn't be where we are today. So thank you very much for all the work you do. I wish you fruitful discussions, good exchanges, and for the ones coming from far abroad, please visit Luxembourg, a country where here in this city 17% of the citizens are non-Luxembourgers. In the country, close to 50% are non-Luxembourgers. And when I see the results that we have in other countries in the elections, here you have 0 elected member of parliament who belongs to an extreme right, extremist, nationalist, populist, fascist, or everything party. So we know that being different is a strength and not a weakness of a society. Thank you very much.